Are you thinking about making the move to Burlington, Ontario? Then this is the only video you'll need to watch. Seriously, just go ahead and bookmark it now because I'm going to walk you through each and every corner of the city. We're going to take a look at each neighborhood, the home types, the pricing, the schools, the parks, the amenities, and everything there is to do here in Burlington. Now, you may not be able to digest this all in one sitting, but that's okay. I've left some timestamps and chapters in the video description below, and you can work your way around because this won't be a quick 2-minute vague overview of the city. You are going to get a level of detail in this video you will not find in any other video on Burlington on the internet. I promise you that. And when you have questions, just reach out to me directly. There is a link to book a one-on-one call with me in the video description below as well. My name is Mike, by the way. I'm a local realtor here in the GTA, and on this channel, you'll find real estate information that no one else is sharing. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Here are 6 quick facts you need to know about Burlington. Fact number 1. Burlington is home to about 187,000 people, and it's steadily growing thanks to the new development in the North End and its prime location between Hamilton and Toronto. Fact number 2. Burlington is part of Halton region, which includes Oakville, Milton, and Halton Hills. Halton consistently ranks as one of the safest regions in Canada. It has one of the lowest crime severity indexes of any large municipality year after year. Fact number 3. The median household income in Burlington is around $110,000, which is roughly 25% higher than the Ontario average, making it one of the most affluent mid-sized cities in the province. Fact number 4. Burlington's economy is very diversified. You've got advanced manufacturing, tech, food and beverage, and professional services, all contributing to a strong local GDP. Fact number 5. Burlington has great schools, and it's served by 2 school boards. There are 29 public elementary schools and 5 public high schools, and there are 14 Catholic elementary schools and 3 Catholic high schools. Fact number 6. Burlington has over 1,400 acres of parkland and 92 parks, plus access to the Royal Botanical Gardens, the Bruce Trail, and the Waterfront Trail along Lake Ontario. There are also 6 community centers and 7 public library branches. So before we dig into each and every neighborhood, I think it's really important to just take a quick second and actually zoom out and show you where Burlington is in relation to the West GTA. So of course, you've got Toronto over here, then you have Mississauga, Oakville, Burlington, and then the other major hub of Hamilton right here. Now, you've got easy access to Hamilton because it's so close, and easy 20-30 minutes at most. And then, of course, you're pretty directly tied to Oakville being the bordering city right there. You've got pretty easy access overall to Mississauga, about 30 to 40 minutes, depending upon where you're going in the city. For example, if you need to get to the airport, on a bad day, can probably take, a solid 45 minutes, but on a good day, you can get there in about a half an hour. And if you're going into Toronto, it'll take a little bit longer, at least an hour drive, especially when there's a lot of traffic, but you do have the bonus of having 3 GO stations here. So you've got the Aldershot GO station here, you've got the Burlington GO station here, and you have the Appleby GO station. And this is important because you are on the Lakeshore West line. This gives you direct access to Union, and that's all day 2-way service, including the weekend. So this is a great line to be on. Whereas, for example, in some areas like Mississauga, for example, you're on one of the lines that comes sort of like north-south. You don't get all-day 2-way service. So you really want to be on this Lakeshore West line. In terms of like highways for commuters, you've got 2 major highways that are running through. You've got the 403/QEW, and that's going to take you all the way through here. You can see it's going to run all the way through the QEW into Toronto right there. And then you've got Highway 407, which is this one right here, starts here, and it goes north of the city. Now, this is a toll road, but for some commuters or people who get this paid for by their business, this is a really great way to avoid the worst days of traffic when there's accidents or bad weather. You can take this one very comfortably north across into Oakville and into Mississauga as well. It actually runs up here and then across like this, if you want to take that the entire way. So that's just a quick overview of Burlington and where it's located, and its highways and its GO stations for commuters, because that is a place where a lot of people start trying to figure out how to get into work. Next, we're going to dig into the actual city itself and how it's made up. We're going to take a look at North Burlington, Central Burlington, South Burlington, and what I call West Burlington. So as I mentioned, I'm going to break up the city into 4 main areas, and don't get too sort of caught up in the categorization of how these work. This is just for the simplicity of this video. So for example, we're going to call this area here of the orange, and through here, we're going to call this area North Burlington, and that is anything essentially that's going to be north of what we call Upper Middle Road here. So anything north of Upper Middle Road, North Burlington. Anything that sits between Upper Middle Road and the QEW here that I mentioned is going to be called Central Burlington. Anything that is going to be south of the QEW is going to be called South Burlington. And then anything that is going to be west of the 407 here, this Tyandaga and Aldershot area, we're going to call it West Burlington. Again, don't get too caught up on it. For example, some people would consider this area of downtown Burlington to be West Burlington because it's west of Guelph line, but some people just call it downtown Burlington, and some people consider that to be South Burlington. So just to make it easier for you to understand, we're going to just break it up in a north, central, south, and kind of just west area. But we're going to dig into each and every neighborhood. There's about 18 neighborhoods we're going to go through. There's timestamps and chapters if you want to sort of bounce back and forth, but I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about them. Afterwards, I'm going to actually recap the entire video to give you an idea of sort of where the most affordable areas are, where the best school zones are, where all the things to do in Burlington are. And that might make more sense if you watch each of the individual neighborhoods. But if you want to watch that first because you want to watch a quick recap, I understand, but I encourage you to go back and actually check out those individual neighborhoods afterwards when you've decided, hey, this one is kind of the right fit for me. So without further ado, let's jump into our first neighborhood. So we're going to start off today's video taking a look at the neighborhoods of North Burlington. They are going to be Alton Village here in the orange. This is Orchard, this is Millcroft, this is Headon, and this is Brant Hills. So we'll start with Alton Village here in the orange because it's the furthest north and it's the newest neighborhood in Burlington. Built primarily sort of in the 2000s and 2010s. You can find some fairly new homes in this area here in Alton Village West as well. So it's exactly what you think of in terms of a new neighborhood. It's going to have the most modern homes, the newest homes. You'll have the most modern layouts. But on the, sort of the flip side, the homes are going to be closer together. So you're not going to quite get that deep backyard space that you would expect to get in Burlington in some other neighborhoods. So that's kind of the trade-off there. So I'm going to zoom in just a bit so you can see it better. This is the main residential area of Alton Village here. And then as you go just a little bit to the east here, this is where you have the main commercial retail area. So you've got all your big box stores, your super centers, your Walmart, your Fortinos, everything like that is sort of in this area here, here, and here. And in terms of pricing or in terms of homes as well, again, not just detached, but you can also find semis and you can find townhouses here. And there are some pockets of condos and condo townhomes as well. For pricing, expect about 850 to 950K for townhomes and semis. But for detached homes, there's a bit of a jump. The average home, you're going to be looking at around 1.3 to 1.5 million. So it's not an inexpensive area, but it's not the most expensive area of Burlington. To get into some of the parks and amenities and things that you can do here, just going to zoom in a little bit here on this Tim Dalby Road here. You've got the Haber Recreation Center, and the Haber Recreation Center is basically where you have the public library, and you can do your drop-in and your extracurricular programs here. And then right beside it or across from it is the Norton Community Park, and this has a big playground, splash pad, soccer fields, a huge skate park, and then it's got multi-use trails as you can see here, and it leads to the Norton Leash-Free Dog Park. This is also a very good school zone overall. You've got the Alton Village PS in here, very highly ranked typically. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into school zones in each individual neighborhood because I'm going to recap later, but what I would like to point out, something that people may not be familiar with or may not know before they purchase, and I've seen people caught out, is that there is actually an area of Alton Village right here. This is the newest area where right now, as the recording in this video, if you live in this area, you're not going to go to the school zone here. You're not going to go to the schools here. You're actually going to get sent to a school down here in Mountainside. So this is why it's important to work with someone who knows the areas and knows the school zones. You could end up purchasing just across Walker's line here, and you end up in a completely different school zone where you have to send your kids on a school bus 5, 10, 15 minutes away. That is a big difference. So before you purchase a $1.5 million home, you want to know exactly where your kids are going to go to school. So check in with me on that. Now, who is this going to be for in terms of the right type of buyer? Anyone who wants a more modern home, right? This is going to have the most modern homes, the newest homes for, that typical suburban residential lifestyle, but it is highly walkable in this area as well. So it's not just, tons and tons of homes with nothing around. There is good infrastructure in this neighborhood, which makes it really popular for people. It has a really good vibe in terms of the types of people that live there. You can find a really good tight-knit community in this area, as well as in the next area we're going to take a look at in the Orchard here. So if you're the kind of buyer that doesn't want to deal with a 1950s, 60s, 70s type of home, you're okay with a shallower backyard, you want the newest, nicest finishes and most modern homes with a good school zone, lots of retail around, and pretty good in terms of commute because you're at least close to the 407 here, and Alton Village is going to be a great choice. Next, we're going to take a look at Orchard. Just a really quick break here. If you're finding value in this video, just go ahead and hit the like button for me below. It will help other people find content just like this. Okay, that's it. Let's get right back to it. So we're in Orchard now, and overall it's a pretty similar vibe to Alton Village in the sense that it's a newer neighborhood. It's a little bit older than Alton Village. It was built primarily in the late 90s through to the early and mid 2000s, so about 5 or 10 years older overall, but it shares a lot of similar qualities in the sense that it's a very walkable area. You have many schools within this neighborhood. You actually have 3 public schools within this area, public elementary schools and 1 Catholic school. You are very close, of course, to the same set of big box retail and shopping and the Fortinos and Walmart and everything that's here. So you're going to share a lot of those. And in terms of its amenities, you've got things like Orchard Community Park. So that's going to give you the playgrounds and the splash pad, and you're going to have trails going throughout. And then you've also got some more, other local and small neighborhood parks like Emerson Park and Braddock Woods Park and Pathfinder Park. So tons of things here, tons of trails going through. And then you also have Bronte Creek Provincial Park. This is a huge park where you can do sort of like biking and hiking, and there's an urban farm there, or like a play barn there. I go with my daughter to feed like the goats that they have there. It's really cool. It's a big, huge provincial park, and it backs onto it. So a lot of the homes here are going to have this sort of protected space behind them, and you're going to have most of the more expensive homes within this area. Now, on that topic, homes here are pretty similarly priced to Alton Village, although towns and semis tend to be just a little bit more expensive overall, about $950K to $1 million for those. And in terms of detached homes, though, it's pretty similar. You're going to typically find around 1.3 to 1.5 million for your average sort of detached home. Again, depending upon size and quality of finishes and any renovations have been done, because even a home that's 20 or 25 years old, those original builder quality finishes are not going to look so modern nowadays. So overall, a great vibe here, very family first, very tight-knit community, I would say overall, and a great option to look at if you're looking for new neighborhoods within North Burlington. The only downside I would say that most people will come up with is that, lot sizes here are smaller, homes are more on top of each other. That's typical of new neighborhoods, but if you want something that has a little bit more backyard space, then you're going to want to look at homes in other parts of North Burlington that are slightly older, like Millcroft, or especially a Headon Forest or a Brant Hills. But if you're after something that's newer, more modern, you want tons and tons of families around, you want to be as close as possible to sort of big box retail shopping, things like that, then you want to aim for these 2 neighborhoods here, Alton Village and Orchard. Next, we're going to take a look at one of the more sort of premium upscale neighborhoods in North Burlington in Millcroft. So I'm taking a look at Millcroft. This is going to be sort of our more upscale neighborhood, more premium neighborhood in North Burlington. And this was developed in the late 80s and into the 90s. So it's a very now established upscale neighborhood, as I mentioned. Homes here are going to be a lot of executive detached homes, but you do have some freehold townhomes here as well. And you have some kind of cool bungalow style condos as well. But you will find some of these bigger homes, like if you're looking for a 3-car garage, or you want really that private ravine lot, and homes are going to be backing on to the golf course that's here. And that's kind of the big thing about this neighborhood, is that it was developed as a master plan with the Millcroft Golf Club running all through it. So you can see here, it is all throughout the neighborhood. That's the entire golf course like that. So you've got lots of streets and lots of homes that have this sort of protected backyard space because of the golf course that's naturally running through there. Now, you're going to have also a lot of mature trees, and sort of manicured landscaping are definitely a signature here. So a lot of pride of ownership within these areas. So if you're looking for something a little bit bigger, a little bit more sort of premium upscale than an Alton Village or a Orchard, then Millcroft is sort of that next sort of like move up kind of place for a lot of people. Average prices here tend to be higher as well, around $1 million to $1.1 million for townhomes and semis. And then you can find anywhere from $1.3 million to $2.7 million plus here in terms of detached. But typically you're going to need a little bit more to spend within Millcroft to get into some of the nicer homes that are here in sort of around more so that 1 point, I would say, whereas Alton Village and Orchard around sort of that 1.5 to 1.6 for like the nicest homes there. Here you can get into easy easily plus over $2 million for the nicest homes. But a general standard typical detached home here will be closer to that for a 1.6 to 1.8 million. Now, in terms of schools, you've got very good schools throughout here. You've got 2 schools, 2 public elementary schools, 1 Catholic elementary school. And in terms of our parks and amenities, as I mentioned, of course, we have the golf club that's here, but we do also have Millcroft Park as well. We've got some amenities down here, like Activate Burlington is a really cool place. And then you've got retail shopping as well here. But you got lots of local trails and parks that are going all throughout this subdivision. The one thing to keep in mind, okay, this is a really important thing, and you can check it out in the video I made in terms of Burlington developments and projects that are happening. There is some controversy happening within this community because of the golf course. The golf course land is actually being partially redeveloped with new single family homes and a residential apartment building. So essentially this was not something that was part of the plans for the community, but it's changed in recent years, and it's really upset a lot of people in this community because that protected land they thought they were going to have is not going to be there anymore. You can follow that more in the video, as I mentioned, and you can look into that issue. So something to keep in mind before you look for homes in Millcroft. Overall, though, definitely a premium feel without feeling too flashy, very quiet, safe, scenic neighborhood, and is best fit for sort of move-up buyers, professionals, and families looking for that sort of forever home atmosphere. You could definitely find that in Millcroft. Now, if your budget doesn't quite get you into Millcroft, but you're looking for a bigger home with more land that you can get in an Orchard or Alton Village, our next 2 neighborhoods, Headon Forest and Brant Hills, I think are going to be a better fit for you. On to Headon or Headon Forest. This is one of my personal favorite neighborhoods in all of Burlington. I really just like it for its overall value, the balance in terms of the types of homes you can get and the price points for them and its location overall. I really think it's good for especially younger families, as this area is turning over a lot and you're getting a lot of younger families come into the area. So let's take a closer look at it. This was built throughout the 80s and early 90s, and sort of the home types are going to be mostly 3 and 4 bed detached homes, not really any semis or towns here. You do have pockets of low-rise condos and condo towns near sort of major intersections at the corners of the neighborhood. But your typical lot here is going to be bigger than an Alton Village or an Orchard. You're going to get usually 50 by 100. So this is great for families needing space at a budget that makes more sense for most people. The average price is going to be about $950K for smaller detached homes, so 3 bed, 3 bath, or 3 bed, 2 bath, let's say. And then if you want to get into larger ones, especially with an ensuite, it's going to get over $1 million, about 1.1 to 1.25 million. And if you want to get into those much larger homes in this area, 1.3 to 1.4 is going to buy you pretty much what you need, especially when it comes to modern finishes within this area. So your 1.3 to 1.4 goes a lot further in terms of overall lot size here than it does in an area like Alton Village or Orchard, for example, especially in Millcroft as well, because you're not going to get quite as much home there. Overall, schools again are really good here. You've got 3 different public elementary schools. Again, you've actually got the Catholic Catholic secondary school located within this area as well. In terms of overall parks and amenities, you've got, again, lots of local trails and sort of green corridors winding through this area. You've got things like our Ireland Park and the Ireland Ireland House Museum and Park in this area. So you've got sports fields and pickleball and baseball, track, tennis, all that kind of stuff. You've got plazas at every single corner here. So really, really convenient for retail and shopping. You've got the St. Timothy's YMCA childcare center here as well. Like, there is a ton in this area for you to do. Super family friendly. Overall vibe for buyers, again, suburban comfort, but with a little bit more space and privacy. Really great for families upsizing from a townhouse or a smaller home, and they're looking for that space that they couldn't get in other areas. Very livable, definitely not flashy, but still well kept, desirable, A+ neighborhood. I really like this one, and we're going to check out our last neighborhood next in what we call North Burlington. An option very similar to Headon Forest, but at a slightly less expensive price point as well in Brant Hills. So now we're into Brant Hills. This is the last neighborhood we'll take a look at in terms of what we call North Burlington. And what you may notice is as we come west towards this neighborhood, the homes are getting a little bit older and you're getting a little bit more space overall. That's how Burlington was built out. So homes that were built sort of in the 80s and 90s here in Headon are going to be built more so typically in the 70s and 80s in this area. So you can still find two-story detached. A lot of those 70s and 80s built homes were two-story detached, but you're also going to find some bungalows and some side splits and back splits, things like that. If people like those kinds of different kinds of layouts. Like for me personally, I love a side split home. Now you also find some semis and some condo townhomes in this area as well. So you have a really, really affordable entry point into North Burlington here in Brant Hills. Average price point is going to be about 800 to 850K for freehold townhomes and 70s detached. You can get some great starter detached homes here for around 900 to 950K. If you want the biggest homes and the biggest lots and completely turnkey, 1.2 to 1.4 million. Now, that sounds just as expensive as some of the other neighborhoods we've looked at, but that is getting a lot more home, a lot more interior home, and a lot more lot space. So your money goes very far here in Brant Hills. In terms of schools, you are serviced by 3 public schools in this area, 1 Catholic school. And then in terms of parks and amenities, if we zoom in here, you've got the Brant Hills Community Center down here. So that's going to give you, your sports and arts and kids summer camps and your drop-in programs and things like that. You have some local community parks here as well, or neighborhood parks. So tons of areas and places for people to play, very family friendly. This is the great thing about North Burlington, is that these master plan communities were made at a time when people were focusing on families. And as the communities have gotten older over the past sort of 25, 30 years, they've now turned over once again. So we're seeing a lot of younger families coming into these areas. In terms of school sizes, you've got pretty small school sizes here, 300 kids or so at the public elementary school level. So if you're looking for a smaller, more tight-knit kind of community, this is a great spot. You also have easy access to the Bruce Trail here. And then in terms of just retail amenities, again, Fortino's, Food Basics, all these things are on like every corner, really close by. You're never really more than a few minutes away from anything. Who is this for? Again, very family friendly, peaceful, lots of green space. So those families that are maybe in Oakville or Milton, or they're looking for a bigger, backyard space, a little bit more lot for them. They don't want to be in homes that are sort of on top of each other. This is for them. It's a good move up sort of neighborhood. It is also very good for those who want to start in a smaller detached home in Burlington under $1 million, because you don't have a lot of neighborhoods like that. So ideal for first time buyers or for downsizers who have a bigger home, but they don't want to go into a condo. They want to go into a smaller detached home. This is great for them. That's going to wrap up North Burlington, and now we're going to take a look at the neighborhoods of Central Burlington next. We're into Central Burlington now, and we're going to start on the west side of Central Burlington in the area of Mountainside here in the yellow. So one thing to keep in mind is as we go further west in Burlington and as we go further south in Burlington, the homes are going to get older. So like we had in Brant Hills, homes that were built more so in sort of the 70s and 80s. As we go south, we're finding these homes are going to be built in the 50s through the 70s. So more detached bungalows, more side splits, more back splits, some semis here as well, some low-rise condos actually, and some condo towns, again, built more so in the 70s. Spacious lots, mature trees, older layouts. Many homes don't have garages here, but they do have large driveways and carports. So this is going to be one of the most affordable neighborhoods in Burlington, probably the most affordable neighborhood in Burlington for a starter home, as you can get plenty of detached homes under $1 million here, and you can even get some semis under 800K here, though they won't have a garage. So you can do without a garage. This is an amazing entry point to get into in Burlington. And in terms of the parks and amenities, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more. Get right in there for you have the Mountainside Recreation Center and Mountainside Park. This is 26 acres with 2 playgrounds. We have forest trails here, a splash pad, one of Burlington's best outdoor pools here with a water slide. We've got Mountainside Arena, so it's a year-round rink and community hub. And then we have easy access to 2 power centers as well. So we've got the Costco down here, and all along here is where you're going to get sort of your big box retail shopping. So this is very family focused. Again, lots very good for first time buyers and people that are trying to just get into the Burlington market and don't have quite the budget that you're looking at in either a North or a South Burlington. And this is very good in terms of the location because you've got both the 407 and the 403 here. So if you need to get north through the 407, going into a Vaughan or a Mississauga or something like that, you've got it. And you've got the 403 here as well. And you're a stone's throw away from the Burlington GO station. Like, you are 5 to 7 minutes away. So great commuter spots, very affordable. Really like this neighborhood for people that are just trying to break into the Burlington market and they're looking for something that's family friendly, affordable, and is close and convenient to everything. Next, we're going to take a look at Palmer, which is just next door to Mountainside. On to Palmer now, and as we go back east in Burlington, we're going to again notice that the homes are going to get a little bit younger. So Palmer is a very similar vibe and age of homes like Headon Forest over here. Biggest difference is that it's a little bit smaller. This road here, Mainway, kind of cuts it off and divides the residential area with the sort of commercial industrial area, and I'll get into that in just a minute. But what can you find here in Palmer in terms of overall real estate? Typical is your 2-story detached home, but you do have some bungalows, you do have some side splits as well. I would say the biggest thing here is you've got some larger than expected interiors here with wide lots and plenty of backyard space here. Tree-lined streets, wide sidewalks, makes it feel very peaceful, very lived in, very residential. Can't really get in below $1 million for detached here. I think that's kind of the big difference, but you can get some nicer 4 beds that'll be closer to 1.1 to 1.2 million. So if you've got less than $1 million, Mountainside is going to be obviously a better fit for you. But if you got a little bit more to play with, this is going to be, in my opinion, a little bit nicer overall neighborhood than a Mountainside. Very similar to a Headon Forest. You have 3 community parks here. You've got like Palmer Park here, Brittany Park, and you've got what's called Sycamore Park here. Tons of trails to go throughout. You've got Tuck Creek that's running through here. So you've got some like ravine and trail areas to go through here. So great for exploring, great for nature walks and things like that. And as I mentioned, as you get south of Mainway here, this is where you're going to get all of your commercial and industrial. So you have easy access to important things like mechanics. Like, that's an important thing to have to be close to. And it's really convenient to have these kinds of areas close, but not right in your backyard. You've got a gymnastics club in this area. There's a private skating arena. You've got a golf simulator over here. You've got swim schools. And then you've got 2 nearby shopping centers as well. So you've got everything within this area in terms of the commercial industrial area, but you get the quiet, sort of well-kept, family-friendly community here that's just north of that main area. So quiet, established, full of charm. I would say one of the best value detached home areas in all of the city, and this is loved by young families and definitely downsizers alike. So overall, a great neighborhood. I would compare it very similarly to Headon Forest, as I mentioned. Good value here. I really like it. And we're going to move on next to our next neighborhood in central Burlington called Tansley. So again, in Tansley, as we go east in Burlington, we are getting newer homes. So these ones are built through the 70s and 80s. These ones are built through the 90s into the early 2000s. Now, again, Mainway here is cutting off the residential area from the commercial industrial area. And in fact, this is a quite small area if you take a look at it. You only have really this area here and this area here. So it's a very small residential area. There's actually no schools within this area because it is so small. So if that's important to you, where you want to have your kid walk to school, not an area you want to be. This is going to go into other neighborhoods. Again, not far, but it is something to keep in mind that you don't have it right there. Homes here are mostly detached homes, and there are some low-rise condos and condo townhomes. There is an interesting sort of pocket right here. This Itabashi Way has these sort of unique bungalows, and you've got some nice buildings down here, some low-rise condo buildings down in this area as well. Detached here is mostly going to be around 1.1 to 1.2 million, including some of those bungalows, as I mentioned, but you can find some 3-bed condo towns under 900K here. So really pretty good value overall, and you can find what you need. I really like these bungalows here. Those are really unique. And in terms of its community centers and things to do within this area, you've got the Tansley Woods Community Center that's here. You've got the Tansley Woods Park. The community center itself has an indoor pool with a water slide, gym programs, free indoor playground, pickleball courts, and it's a full branch library in here as well. You've got the Tansley Woods Parks. This is scenic walking trails here, playgrounds, and there's actually what's called a Japanese style friendship garden, which was gifted by the city of Itabashi in Japan. So overall, quick access to shopping and dining. Most errands can be done locally here. You don't necessarily need to leave the area. Overall vibe, very central. Like if we zoom out here, you are very central within Burlington, right smack dab in the middle. You've got Appleby GO Station that is nearby as well. You've got easy access to the 403. Very, very central, convenient area, ideal for first-time buyers or young families, downsizers for those bungalows, as I mentioned. Quiet residential feel, very similar to a Palmer, and you have everything close to you. We're going to finish up in central Burlington. Again, this is more so East Burlington, but for the sake of this video, we're going to call it Central Burlington in an area that's very unique in Burlington called Corporate. Our last neighborhood in central Burlington, what people would probably consider East Burlington, but again, for the sake of this video, we're grouping it into here. As we go further east, we get newer homes as well, and the biggest difference in this neighborhood is there are no detached homes. So if you're looking for a detached home, this is not where you're going to want to be, but if you want to get into some of the most affordable entry-level homes within Burlington, this is a great area to look. Homes here mostly built in late 90s and early 2000s, condos, townhomes, and semi-detached only within this area. Very compact and low maintenance homes for professional and small families. Very walkable layout with newer builds and modest yards, but you can get towns here under 850K, and that is huge to get into a city as nice as Burlington and everything it has to offer for under 850K. Semis around 850 to 950K, depending upon size and finishes. One thing again to keep in mind, no schools in the area. You'll be going to a John William Boyk, which is in the Orchard, so just north of here into this neighborhood here. So just like Tansley, we're not getting any schools within this neighborhood. So if it's important for you to walk to school, then, this is not going to be the neighborhood for you. However, you're going to get a bus, right? Bus to and from school for the kids. And if you want to drive them, it's not very far. Now, in terms of local amenities, you have some small community parks like Desjardins Park here. You've got Alton Park here. You've got the Sheldon Creek Woodlot, and you've got Appleby Arena. This is Burlington's largest arena. So you have, again, south of Mainway, you're going to get a little bit more commercial industrial here. You are very close to everything. This is a great commuter spot. Like you are just on the edge here, basically of Burlington Oakville. You've got the Appleby GO Station nearby. You're near Burlope, obviously the 403 that's here. You are close to everything, and it's actually not too far to get into sort of some of the neighborhoods of South Burlington as well. So this is sort of an urban suburban hybrid. It's designed for walkability and convenience, great for professionals, young couples, downsizers who want sort of more easy to maintain homes or condo living, but in a more suburban setting with a lot of retail close by. That's it for Central Burlington. We're wrapping up on the corporate neighborhood. And next, we're going to take a look at an area of Burlington that a lot of people are interested in when they talk with me, and that is South Burlington. Welcome to South Burlington. Everything basically south of the QEW and 403, we're calling South Burlington. And I'm going to start in the area that's talked about the most or asked about the most, and that is where's downtown Burlington. You can find it in this yellow quadrant here. We call this Central. I'm going to zoom in just a bit so you can see it in better detail. Now, some people will say anything west of Brant Street here is actually called Maple, and anything east of Brant Street is called Central. But for the simplicity of this video, I'm going to just categorize it all as one big neighborhood, and I'll tell you the difference between them. So first of all, what you can find down here is a huge mix of homes. So we have century homes you're going to find closer to the downtown core, wartime bungalows, sort of more so in this Maple area here in the northwest. Got luxury condos in the downtown. You've got some custom infills here in South Central, and then you've got a mix of sort of like 50s to 60s homes here in this area and everything in between that you can find. And it's not an unaffordable area by any stretch. You can actually find homes, smaller detached homes under 1 million, especially in this Maple area. Once you go east of Brant Street though, then it starts to get a little bit more expensive. You're starting typically around 1.3 million. And as you get closer to the lake, prices can go up quite a bit. But if you're, staying in this north part, you can find something quite affordable close to the GO Station, and you're still walking distance to downtown. Like you're very close. Some things are going to be 1.5 to 1.8, 2 mil, but it's an eclectic mix. A lot like Aldershot, there is a big mix in South Burlington. So not every home is going to be ultra pricey and expensive.
Now, in terms of the parks and amenities, I'm going to get into those in a bit more detail later in the video, but a quick high overview, just sort of to give you the lay of the land. The downtown core is right here. This is where we're going to find all your, restaurants and cafes and boutiques. You got like the Village Square. This is a shopping hub. Then you've got areas that are big tourist attractions for Burlington, like Spencer Smith Park. This is your lakefront park with splash pad. You've got the Brant Street Pier and Lighthouse here, and has a winter skating rink as well. You have Maple Park, which is a local neighborhood park in this area here. You've got the mall, which is over here, Mapleview Shopping Mall. And then over here on the east side, you've got Central Park. And Central Park is a 56-acre park with sports fields. It is Burlington's flagship library, the Central Branch. It's got the YMCA, and it has Centennial Trail. So there's a lot to do here. And in terms of like festivals and things to do, like there are so many things. You have the yearly Sound and Music Festival, which is like a week-long free music festival. You have Ontario's largest Rib Fest. You've got food truck festivals, outdoor movies, winter lights, Santa Claus parade, downtown hosts seasonal markets. There's a farmer's market. There's just a ton of stuff to do here. So if you want to be in an area that is super accessible for transit, you've got the GO station that's located right there. Good for commuting because you've got easy access to the Skyway Bridge if you're going to Hamilton, or the 403 QEW going into Toronto. If you want something that is a little bit more lively, you don't want just necessarily a quiet residential area with nothing to walk to, this is where you want to be. So perfect for first-time buyers getting into those condos or those smaller detached homes. Perfect for retirees getting into those condos or smaller detached homes as well. And then families looking for that move up home. You can find a ton in this area here that gets you walking distance to downtown. So overall, this is an amazing community. Definitely one of my favorite. And if you have the budget for it and you want to be close to downtown, this is where you want to be. Next, we're going to take a look at the rest of the South Burlington neighborhoods. And we're going to start with Dynes right here. So we're going to make our way east, starting with Dynes here, and it looks like a really big neighborhood, right? But if you actually zoom in, anything that is south of Fairview is going to be your residential area, and then anything north is going to be sort of that, again, commercial industrial hub. And you've got what's called the Burlington Center here, and there's a bunch of essentially retail for this area. So really, we're only working with this small neighborhood section here. And as we head east, things here are a little bit newer in the sense of not quite as old as downtown. Most stuff here was built between the 1960s to the 1980s, mostly detached homes with a couple pockets of older and sort of newer townhomes, but you're going to find lots of larger lots here with mature trees. Many of these homes have been well maintained or updated though over the years, and price wise you can find sort of starter, downsize homes around $900K. So really good entry point. But if you want something larger, say a 4 beds or with an ensuite, expect to pay sort of around 1.25 million to 1.3 million as a starting point. So similar to our central area, that's kind of going to be a starting point for larger things. It's really when you go south of this street here is called New Street. That is really sort of the separation in South Burlington where you find the more luxury homes of Burlington. So we'll go into Roseland next after this, but that's essentially the difference and sort of the demarcation between the two areas. Now, in terms of parks and amenities, you don't have a ton here. It's not a super green area. We've got like Sweetgrass Park here. We've got Cumberland Park as well. You don't have a ton. Now, it's more so going to be quiet residential streets, not a ton in the area to do. But you do have your Burlington Center close by, you have your retail and shopping close by, and you're so close to the mall, and you're pretty close to downtown. Like we're only talking about 7 to 8 minutes away from downtown. So you benefit from essentially all the amenities of downtown while being a little bit further out. And that's why price wise is not quite as expensive as this central area. So this is going to be really great value for people who want to be close to downtown, but don't have the exact same budget as being like right down there. You got affordable homes with good lot sizes here, solid mix of families. This is a really good family-friendly area. You've got some retirees in this area and some first-time buyers as well. So we're going to make our way now just south down to Roseland, and I'll tell you the difference between those two areas. So as we go south of New Street, we land in Roseland here. And the biggest difference between Dynes and Roseland is that this is one of Burlington's most prestigious neighborhoods. This is where sort of in the early 1900s, all those Burlington business owners builders were building their estates. And, over time, those have kind of been either rebuilt or torn down and been custom infills in. So you still get the historic homes within this area, but is still quote unquote more newer homes in this area than sort of early 1900s. That's not the majority of homes here, but some incredible, beautiful homes here. Lots are often 50 to 100 feet wide. Some of the largest in Burlington are going to be found in this area. Now, price-wise, you can find the odd home here under 1.5 million, but for the most part, you're going to be looking at 1.5 million plus, with the average actually closer to 2 million. Now, to be fair, your 1.8 or so to 2 million, this goes much further here than it does South Oakville, for example. So if you want to be close to the lake and you want a vibrant downtown for under 2 mil, this is a great place to be. And you are in the John T. Tuck school zone here, which is one of the most desirable in terms of catchment areas within Burlington. And then in terms of amenities, you don't have a ton here. It's a fairly residential neighborhood. You've got like Tuck Park, you've got the Sioux Lookout Park here, which is this really tiny, small, basically walkway, but you get incredible views of Lake Ontario from here. So not a ton here in terms of amenities, but you're, walking distance to downtown, right? So that's mostly what most of South Burlington is going to benefit from. You have, just gorgeous mature trees in this area. You still have the waterfront trail that can be connected through here. This is, high end, but Burlington I find not pretentious whatsoever. Even in this area, families are going to love this area if you can get the space for it. Going to have a slightly older crowd here as you get further south because, homes are going to be more expensive, but this is safe, scenic, peaceful, and just minutes to downtown. We've got a few more South Burlington neighborhoods to cover that might fit you a little bit better than a $2 million price tag. So let's check those out. Next, we're going to jump back north a little bit to this area, this black quadrant called Longmoor. Like Dynes to the west, you have sort of half the neighborhood divided between commercial, sort of industrial restaurants and things like that in this area here, just north of Fairview. And of course, you've got the 403/QEW there, but south is where you're going to find your residential areas and homes. And so it's a little bit more green, you can tell right off the bat compared to Dynes because you've got Nelson Park here, and I'll go into that in just a little bit. But in terms of homes, what can you find? Definitely a safe and quiet neighborhood. Homes built just like Dynes between the 1960s and the 1980s. You have detached of all styles, you have towns, and you actually have a couple pockets of semis and condos in this area as well. Really good value here with most detached homes available around 1.3 million or less. So if you want to be under 1.3, which is a pretty typical price point for that kind of move up buyer into the detached, this is an area you consider if you want to be in South Burlington compared to Central or North Burlington. If you want to be closer to downtown, or you want to be closer to the GO stations or closer to the QEW. Now, much like Dynes to the west over here, as I mentioned, if you go south of New Street, that into this Shoreacres area, that's when prices are going to jump, and we'll go into that next. Now, in terms of amenities here, we have Nelson Park, and I'll just zoom in a little bit because this is a pretty big park. This has the largest outdoor pool in Burlington here. It's got a splash pad, it's got a skate park, it's got baseball diamonds, soccer fields, tennis courts, and a football field. And there's a connected to a paved bike path that goes into downtown. So if you want a little bit more green, I would suggest Longmoor, right? Like you have this park that's right here in the middle of the neighborhood, essentially, compared to a Dynes, which doesn't have, quite the same amount of green space. And it is still, a little bit of a walk. You got to go across the major intersection here in Walker's Line to get there. So for a similar price, you're kind of, there's a toss up. Do you want to live a little bit closer to downtown with Dynes there? Or do you want something in your neighborhood that's a little bit more accessible than downtown? So that's what kind of people kind of battle with. Personally, I kind of like Longmoor, its style of homes a little bit more than Dynes, but I do get that you are closer to downtown with it. But overall, a very similar vibe, family friendly, modest, got good schools in this area as well, got a great balance of affordability and lifestyle, and you're near the Applebee GO station, which is just over here. We're going to pop just south of New Street now, down into Shoreacres, and I'll tell you the difference between that neighborhood as well. So as we go south of New Street now, we're here into Shoreacres, and just like the difference between Dynes and Roseland, Longmoor and Shoreacres has that divide between sort of more affordable homes north versus less affordable homes south. And especially as you get towards the lake, it's going to become, those lakefront estates, 3.5 mil to like $16 million, but it's not all that in this area. In fact, you can actually find some great 3-bedroom bungalows for less than 1.5 million within the Shoreacres area. You want something larger, budget about 1.5 to 1.9 million, but there tends to be a real gap between that price range and the larger, more sort of luxury homes that start around 2.3 to 2.5 million. But you can still get into this neighborhood less than 1.5 million. And for comparing that to like a South Oakville, for example, there is a huge gap in terms of what you can afford. It's still close to downtown. You get this beautiful tree-lined area, streets. You've got like tons of, for example, I'll just go into some of the amenities here. We've got Appleby Village. This is a walkable plaza with cafes, restaurants. You've got the Danish pastry house here. You've got Jackson's Landing, which has rooftop dining. You can see that right here. What neighborhoods in the south near the lake you can actually walk to retail like that? Not a ton, and not for that price point. So Shoreacres is really, really nice, a really great spot to be. You have access to Burlington's waterfront promenade through the trail here. You've got the Paletta Lakefront Park, an estate that is really cool to visit. Overall, this is sort of an upscale and serene with a tight-knit feel. Quiet tree-lined streets, as I mentioned, close to the lake. Definitely one of Burlington's most desirable areas. Of course, executive families and retirees or people that have owned these homes for a long time are going to be in this area, but you are still going to find families in this area as well. And you've got some of the nicest areas to explore here in South Burlington. Now, we're going to finish off. We've got 2 more neighborhoods to explore. We've got Pinedale here, and we have Elizabeth Gardens. And if these don't quite fit your budget, I think you're going to find what you're looking for in both of these neighborhoods. So we're now into Pinedale, and this is going to run from Appleby Line here to Burloak, and that is the border of Burlington and Oakville, Queen Elizabeth to the north, and then we got that new street to the south here. Now, in this area, again, most of it, because we've got the train here and we've got Harvester Road. Most of this is just going to be commercial, industrial again. So we're looking at a fairly small area overall in terms of residential homes. Now, there's 2 sections to Pinedale. You've got the 1960s section and you've got the 1990s section. 1960s section is going to be sort of larger homes on big lots, sometimes smaller homes on big lots. And then you've got smaller lots in the 1990s section, but you've got more modern layouts and more modern homes overall. The difference is going to be sort of west of the creek. This is going to be the 1960s area. And then east of the creek, bordering onto Oakville, is going to be that 1990s section. What can you find in these areas? The home types, 1960s, right? So it's going to be bungalows and side splits and back splits. In the 1990s section, you're going to find your 2-story detached homes, your townhomes, and even some condo townhomes. Now, in terms of pricing, Pinedale is very similar to Dynes and Longmoor. You can find, $900K towns to 1 to 1.5 million detached, depending on sizing condition. So, slightly older town, $900K. Slightly older detached home, you can find it for $1 million, even under $1 million sometimes. Gonna get a larger detached home with nice finishes, turnkey, and it can be as expensive as 1.5 million. So if you're looking to break into the market, you really want to be in South Burlington, you really want to be under $1 million, Pinedale is probably the #1 place you're going to be. You can find a lot of starter homes here. They might just have 2 bathrooms, but it's going to be one of the most affordable cities to be. And if you want to be sort of in Burlington, not quite in Oakville, because like these homes here are like ultra expensive here, you can get into the similar sort of vibe and area and convenience and location for much less here. Now, in terms of amenities, we have Sherwood Forest Park. So this has a soccer dome, sports fields, playgrounds, and hiking trails. We have Appleby Creek that goes through here. We have Sheldon Creek trails as well. And you've got the Appleby GO station for commuting. So it's highly convenient for commuters. You've got the Burlington Centennial Pool here and Frontenac Park. So overall, this is a pretty green area. You've got easy access to the GO station. You've got easy access to even Oakville if you want to get into this like Bronte area and explore that. Similar time to downtown, probably even closer really than getting all the way down to downtown Burlington. And you can get some some newer homes in this area, newer as in, 1990s, but if you really want to break into that market, 1960s, in this area here. So strong nature access without leaving the city, affordable entry to sort of South Burlington lifestyle, highly convenient for commuters. Highly recommend this area if you're trying to break into the Burlington market, especially sub $1 million. And the last South Burlington neighborhood we're going to take a look at here is Elizabeth Gardens. The great thing about this is that when you go south of New Street, it's not any more expensive to live here than it is to live in Pinedale, which wasn't the case for Shoreacres or Roseland or Central. So you can actually get the types of homes that are here, mostly detached, 50s, 60s build, bungalows and splits, things like that. But very similar to Pinedale, you can get in under $1 million. In fact, I've seen homes here sell for around $800K. Granted, that's not going to be every home, but the range is typically around $800K to $1.2 million, depending upon size, garage, finishes, things like that, but still very affordable to get into South Burlington, one of the most affordable neighborhoods in Burlington in general for detached homes. Now, the other great thing about it is that you're on the border of Oakville. This is Burloak here, and if you didn't catch on, that means Burlington, or a combination of Burlington and Oakville. So you can get all the amenities of Oakville, right? These amenities that are right here, for example, or even into downtown, but I would say closer to this Bronte Harbor area, just as close as, if not closer than downtown Burlington. So dig a little bit deeper into that. What can you find there? Well, you've got Burloak Waterfront Park. This Burloak Waterfront Park has, walking paths, a pier, a playground, and a splash pad. If you go to South Shell Park here, you have trails, you've got a skate park, there's a beach that's here, you've got 2 dog parks as well. There's a couple of shopping plazas that are within walking distance at either corner of this neighborhood as well, because as I mentioned in the previous one here, we've got that Appleby Village Square that's right here. So you got walking distance in both of these neighborhoods, and in Shoreacres and in Longmoor as well. It sort of connects the 4 neighborhoods together where everybody is going to shop. You've got cafes and restaurants and like a Fortino's, for example, so for your groceries. So a really great area here. Now, one more thing to point out within this area that I think is really important is this Skyway Park, Skyway Community Center. This was basically rebuilt, redone, and it opened in September 2025. Full NHL size ice pad, indoor walking track, multi-use program space, accessible seating, universal washrooms, the whole shebang. Completely new community center that came to this area right here. So this is a great spot to be, super affordable, lake adjacent option, peaceful, family friendly, and it is evolving over time. Perfect for first timers, downsizers, and those looking for a quiet South Burlington living without giving up any conveniences whatsoever. And for those commuters, you're right along Lakeshore. You're a stone's throw away to the Appleby GO station and the QEW. This is a great neighborhood to live. Highly recommend. So we're into West Burlington now, and there are 2 neighborhoods I wanted to kind of separate from the rest because they're a little bit more cut off, a little bit more isolated than the others. They are Aldershot and Tyandaga. So we're going to consider this for this video, West Burlington. Now, as we zoom in, we'll start with Tyandaga. This is just west of Brant Street here, and it's kind of cut off like Brent Hills is from the 407. So a little bit harder to get to overall and a little bit more secluded and isolated. But very similarly to Brant Hills, most of the homes here were built throughout the 70s and 90s. Home types here are mostly detached home, but you do have pockets like near Brant Street where you do have some townhomes and some condo townhomes. So it makes the area a little bit more accessible than you think in terms of price point, but there are definitely some huge homes here with 2 or 3 car garages, wide driveways that back onto ravines and wooded areas like down here and up here. Some monster homes, some of the nicest ones you'll see in all of Burlington. This area has a reputation for being a bit of a luxury neighborhood, but it's not ultra luxury. Most homes here will fall between 1.5 to 1.8 million, but you can find them for much less, especially as you get closer to Brant Street. The most expensive pockets, as I mentioned, are going to be sort of southwest of the golf course here, and especially west of Kearns Road here into this area. And again, this pocket up here is quite expensive. Now, in terms of amenities, you have the golf course. Of course, this is a big feature of the area, the Tyandaga Golf Course, but you also do have Kerncliffe Park. This is a popular escarpment spot. We've got lookout points, boardwalks, and hiking trails, because as you get west here in Burlington, you are basically on the escarpment. And then you also have this newerish park, about 10 or 15 years old now, City View Park here. This is the largest park in Burlington. It's 165 acres. It's gigantic. And it has turf fields, trails, and views of the Toronto skyline on clear days. And as I mentioned, the golf course here, this is a public 18-hole course, and it's kind of woven through the community. Overall, the kind of buyer that's going to come into Tyandaga is someone that's looking for a definitely more quiet luxury area, very scenic, very elevated, literally and figuratively. Homes feel tucked away, but you do have easy access to the 403 and the 407. So kind of like that executive family that's looking for that 1.5 to 1.8 million. They want something that's not as close residentially as a Millcroft. Like in this area here, we had the Millcroft area. This one, the homes are going to be further apart. You're going to have less streets overall here. So definitely has more of a privacy feel and a strong residential feel as you're kind of cut off from the rest of the city here. So that is Tyandaga, and we're going to move on to Aldershot next. On to Aldershot, which is one of my personal favorite neighborhoods, and I love talking about it and taking clients there. This is one of the oldest and most eclectic neighborhoods in all of Burlington. You've got a huge variety of home types. You've got these character homes, post-war bungalows, infill builds. You've got some townhomes, and you've got low-rise condos as well, especially as you get closer to the GO station here. This is the Aldershot GO station. You've got some larger estates near the bay, but again, some new townhome developments, and it's really hard to describe, but there's this really great mix of different types and styles of homes that you just do not find anywhere else in the city, even in pockets of South Burlington, other pockets of South Burlington. So you can, find a $950K home here, and it could be right beside a $3 million home. And it fits. It makes a lot of sense. It just works for the neighborhood. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to take a look at some of the amenities that you can get here, and you can explore the things to do within this area because there are a ton. So first, this is the Royal Botanical Gardens, the RBG. This is actually owned by the city of Hamilton, but operated by the city of Burlington. This is a great place to explore. You have 2,400 plus acres of protected trails. You've got gardens and natural spaces. Highly recommend this. You've also got the Hidden Valley Park that's just right next to it. This has a splash pad, model trains, playgrounds, and access to those RBG trails, the Royal Botanical Garden trails. You have LaSalle Park, which is a personal favorite of mine. You have this huge 57-acre park. It has a playground, a wading pool, a splash pad, a large picnic area, trails that you can take down to the marina. I love taking my daughter here, especially in the fall. It's a great walk. And then, of course, you've got the Burlington Golf and Country Club that is here as well. It's a private course. It actually has some curling as well, dining, and waterfront views. Now, in terms of transit, you, of course, like I mentioned, have the Aldershot GO station here. So this is a great commuter spot for a lot of people. You have easy access to the 403 that starts right here, and then you can get into Hamilton here as well. So if you're someone who works in Hamilton, this is a great spot to be. If you don't want to be right in Hamilton, but close to it, you've got this area here, and you've got Highway 6, which is ideal for heading into, as I mentioned, Hamilton or the Niagara region. And so this is one of the greenest, most versatile neighborhoods in all of Burlington. Tons of nature, space, but with tons of pockets of urban density closer to the station. As you go along Plains Road, you actually have what's called Aldershot Village. So you've got lots of retail and smaller mom and pop shops in this area, and you're not very far from the Mapleview Shopping Center, the mall that's right here. You've got Costco that's close by. You've got Fortino's that's close by. Everything's within like about 5 or 7 minutes. Just one of my favorite neighborhoods if you want somewhere with character, access to the outdoors, convenient commuting. This is a really great spot overall. I personally like it. That's it for West Burlington. I hope you enjoyed those two neighborhoods. In this section, I'm going to recap everything because you may or may not have watched every single individual neighborhood segment one by one. I'm guessing most people didn't. So if you want to watch this section now and then sort of go back and forth between the two, which more fit you, then you can do so. So we're going to start with overall affordability. Home prices range a lot depending upon the area. So what were our most affordable entry-level neighborhoods? You want to look at areas like Mountainside right here. Then you're going to look at an area like Dynes as well. Then you've got Pinedale over here. These offer good value for townhomes and older bungalows. I would include Brant Hills with this as well. Great value for first-time buyers and downsizers, and I'll even put Elizabeth Gardens into this as well. So Elizabeth Gardens, Pinedale, Mountainside, and Brant Hills, I think those are going to be your 4 most affordable. Then when we get into mid-range, I'm going to talk Headon Forest, I would say here, Palmer and Tansley, and then sort of Alton Village and Orchard. Those will kind of be your sort of mid-range ones where you get, good detached options, modern finishes, family-friendly layouts. Now, if you want to go absolutely upscale, that's where you're going to be looking at Millcroft here in North Burlington. And when we go into South Burlington, you'll be looking at an area like Shoreacres or Roseland here, and in pockets of central / kind of downtown Burlington. And then there are some ultra luxury areas in Aldershot as well, and some in Tyandaga. So those kind of all tie in if you want to look at more premium kind of areas. But overall, compared to Oakville, Burlington still gives you definitely more house for your money, especially in the mid-range and luxury brackets. Now you want to know where the new homes are in Burlington, or younger homes. That's going to be in North Burlington, up here in this Alton Village and Orchard area here. So up here and here. And if you're looking for, even I would say in this sort of Tansley area, you're going to find some, homes in the 90s and early 2000s as well. Now, if you're looking for older homes with character, you're going to want to go into South Burlington, Roseland, Shoreacres, Central. This is where you're going to find most of your historic homes, big lots, tree-lined streets, and Aldershot as well. Very eclectic neighborhood, blends definitely, different types of styles and character homes together. A lot of great homes here. You can find a $950K small bungalow beside a $3 million custom infill here. Just a really eclectic mix of homes within this area. And then if you go into sort of the central and downtown area, this is where you're going to find your century homes, find some wartime bungalows in here, and some infills near the lake. Now, when it comes to the best schools in Burlington, I do want to say that Burlington overall has great schools wherever you go. So from an EQAO perspective, this is going to differ than the personal experience of people. So I always tell families and parents to go speak with the schools individually that you want to potentially attend. That's going to give you a lot more insight than just school rankings. But if you're asking for just school rankings, the best schools tend to be sort of in North Burlington based on ratings. Areas like Alton Village, the Orchard, Millcroft have some really good schools. You have areas like Longmoor, for example, where the desirable John T. Tuck school zone is as well. And in terms of French immersion, if you're interested in it, you have 9 schools across Burlington that offer French immersion starting in grade 2, with the current top ranked ones being Pineland, and you've got Alexander's in Orchard, and Florence Mears. So overall, schools in Burlington are great. You don't have anything to worry about, but you can check out more information on my website. I will leave a link in the description below so you can check that out. Now, what exactly is there to do in Burlington? I'm going to walk you through sort of a high level recap of everything. I'll tell you everything that's in Burlington. You can go back to the individual segments and see where each thing is, but I'm going to leave some info in the description below so you can get a better understanding of it. I'm going to rip through a few things. Like if you're looking for arts and culture, we have a Burlington Arts Center, a Burlington Performing Arts Center. There's independent theaters. You have the Joseph Brant Museum. These are all located in downtown Burlington. And you've got the Ireland House at Oak Ridge Farm, which is in Headon Park over here. Now, when it comes to parks and nature, this is a big outdoor city. Like in terms of living, people like to get out into nature. There are 8 conservation areas in Alton, which includes Burlington. We have the Royal Botanical Gardens, which is down here in Aldershot. You've got the Spencer Smith Park, which is down in downtown Burlington as well. You've got the Waterfront Trail, which is essentially 3,600 kilometer route, and 21 kilometers of it goes all the way down in through Burlington here. Now, you've got City View Park, which is in Tyandaga. This is a gigantic, massive, the largest park essentially in all of Burlington. You've got LaSalle Park over here. I love taking my daughter here for walks in the fall. Great trail leads down to a marina. You have Central Park, which is here in downtown Burlington as well. This has the flagship library in Burlington. You've got the Bronte Provincial Creek over here, which has got hiking, biking, picnics. You've got a play farm there, like where you can feed goats. It's amazing. You've got the Bruce Trail that you can get to. There are so many things. Getting into the waterfront, you've got 3 piers, including the Brant Street Pier. You've got the Burlington Canal Pier. You've got the Burloak Pier over here. And in terms of events and shopping, the list goes on and on. Festivals include the Sound of Music Festival, Canada's largest Rib Fest. Might have said Ontario's largest Rib Fest early in the video, but I meant Canada's largest. You've got the Children's Festival. You've got the Village Square shopping hub in downtown Burlington. You've got farmers markets such as the Central Garden Market and the Burlington Mall Farmers Market. there's a million things to do. I mentioned community centers. You've got 9 centers with 7 city pools, libraries, 7 branches, 9 arenas, 7 leash-free dog parks. We've got the Paletta Mansion Estate, which is really cool to check out. Check out Magnetic Hill. I'll leave some information in the description on that. And we've got some other standout parks. As I mentioned, Spencer Smith downtown. We've got Nelson Park in Longmoor, great skate park there with the largest outdoor pool. We've got Mountainside Park. We've got Kerncliffe. I mentioned City View Park already. There are just so many things to do in Burlington. The list goes on and on. So who is this city built for? In my opinion, it is best for families. You have a balanced lifestyle, space, nature, strong schools. You've got quick access to Toronto or Hamilton. It's also great for retirees and seniors as well because you have a lot of different low-rise condo options. There are lots of walkable amenities in the area as well. For those two, I would say they are the best. Young couples and professionals, there is more coming to the city, more density coming. There are definitely some starter townhomes that you can get into as well. So if you're not really a city person, you want to be in Burlington, but you don't have sort of the budget of, an Oakville or a Toronto or even a Mississauga, you can still find things here. It's not going to be the hustle and bustle of the city, but you can find what you want here. So if you're not that kind of person, even as a younger person, this city will be built for you. So whether you're downsizing, upsizing, or you're a first-time buyer, there is a place for you here in Burlington. And that's everything you need to know about Burlington. I hope I left no stone unturned, but if I did, then please reach out to me directly. There is a link in the video description below to book a one-on-one call with me at any time. In the meantime, if you want to check out even more information about Burlington, you can watch some of these other videos next. And if you want to actually see some real homes for sale in Burlington, then I'm going to leave a link in the video description below to my preferred homes for sale. And before you go, just make sure to hit that like and subscribe button to get more content just like this. And I'll see you on the next one.